in the peaceful surroundings of the western province of Sri Lanka. The monks of the Jetavanaramaya forest monastery have given up worldly comforts in their search for enlightenment.
Monkhood is not a destination, it's a journey. So one who comes here has to be prepared to go on that journey. And sometimes it can be quite arduous. It can be quite challenging. But you have to be prepared to reach for that goal and target that you should have seen before you come into robes. I think that's when monkhood can be successful. We listened to the Dhamma, we understood the Buddhist philosophy, we understand that this is more than a way of life. It's a journey that we need to go on to seek emancipation, that liberation that the Buddha taught. And for that, we've come here so that we can dedicate our entire lives to practicing the path.
Before he became a monk, Amar Dasana Thero was a solutions architect with the Royal Bank of Scotland in London.
It was a lot about success, living a successful life, becoming prosperous. So this was an investment bank. Typically, they're quite successful people and people who are quite ambitious in life. So the kind of philosophy I got to learn there was, while you're alive, earn as much money as you can, work hard and work smart and be successful, set your goals, have your targets. So it was that kind of environment I was in.
While working in London, Vimukti, as he was then called, married his childhood sweetheart, Madhu.
Around the age of 21, well, our parents, they said, you both know each other so well. They asked us if we were okay with the idea of getting married to each other. By then, we too had kind of fell in love with each other. So by the age of 21, we married.
Now known as Bhikkhumi Dhammadasana, she too is seeking spiritual enlightenment.
My dream was to be the richest, have all the wealth and have all the luxuries that I would like to have, all the dresses, all the makeup, all the friends and pubs and dancing. So once I was in London, I felt that, okay, so now I'm on the top of the world. I've got everything I need. So it was quite a happy life there. We liked being funny. We liked going out with friends and traveling around the world, around the cities. And so married life was more of happiness than suffering. So
soon after, Madhu, who was my wife then, she suggested, why don't we go to the temple and offer an alms at least once a month? And I thought, that's not a bad idea. So I think that's kind of how this all started. I was inquisitive and curious about the Dhamma prior to that, but I don't think I practiced. It was more of I was acquiring knowledge whenever there was a chance to do it, but I wasn't a practicing Buddhist. I just was a Buddhist for the namesake.
We listened for about 4 or 5 hours to the Dhamma, and we didn't feel the time passing. And then we came back to our vehicle, and we were in the same idea of thinking that we found what we were looking for. There is something in this Dhamma than just going to the temple and worshipping and just offering flowers, that there is something more to this. There is something that we could gain from this. So we both got into the same idea at the very first session.
Pretty soon we realized that there was more to life than what we thought was the purpose of life. After I'd been listening to sermons for about, I think, 3 years or so, both my wife and I decided it was enough time that we'd spent in lay life, and now a whole world awaits us. A new purpose in life awaits us. And we decided, let's make that turn in our lives.
It wasn't a difficult decision, because by then we knew how futile this materialistic life was, how that how misled we were. We thought we were getting ourselves into the path of happiness, but it was happiness masked, the suffering masked in happiness. So it wasn't a difficult decision.
Breaking the news to their parents was a difficult decision, but Amadasana Thero's mother wasn't surprised.
I think she kind of knew that this was coming. She did ask me, why do you want to do it so soon? You know, you've got a good life for yourself, you've got a good wife, you've got property and wealth and all that, so why do you want to do this now? And that's when I had a heart-to-heart conversation with my mother, explaining to her that despite all the wealth that I've got, I want a life where nothing in this world can shake my happiness. That's the kind of happiness I want, independence. Reminds me of how, you know, when a lot of people, they travel to other countries looking for a better life, and they think of it as a destination. Some people might think coming into monkhood is also a destination. It's not a destination. It's the beginning of a journey.
Buddhism has two major areas. One is the Buddhist ethos of monks who live in the forest, who meditate, who leave everything out. From a household to a houseless state, they are meditating. So there's a kind of a tag attached to them that they were more pious. They were the people they were the monks who were interacting with the village people, who were giving them solace, understanding in return of keeping them with their offerings of food. So that was the kind of a relationship they had. But the urban structure is different. It's more cosmopolitan. So this is where the more showpiece of Buddhism comes, because the sculptured art, certain offering and ceremonies, all these things are part of the more, what you call the popular religion. Now that has nothing to do with what you call the salvation. You're liberating yourself from your attachments to this world, and that is the meditating monks who are outside.
Sri Lankan Buddhists also, they worship statues, trees and all this stuff. And they do thero also, which means dancing and all this stuff. But it's not real Buddhism or real Lord Buddha's philosophy. Philosophy is something. Therefore, we must follow philosophy. If you don't follow philosophy, you can't find the real truth.
The monks live in a kuti or hut, and each monk is allowed only 6 possessions.
I must admit, I don't take a lot of time to study what goes on outside these 4 walls, because I left that life behind. So for me now, the teaching of the Buddha is all that I need, because that gives me happiness and brings me salvation every day that I practice. I know I'm a different person to who I was yesterday.